Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and as you can see by the title, today I'm here to bring you the top disappointing books, or the books I've liked the least of 2017 so far. Now, I know not everyone likes negative videos and negative reviews, so if this is not your cup of tea, I will see you guys in my next video. But for those of you who do like to be salty about books, like myself, I hope you guys enjoy. I've read quite a few disappointing books. I've read quite a few books that I've just hated. So yeah, without further ado, this list is in no particular order except for I am saving the worst book I have ever read for last. So yeah, let's just get into it. So I also have reviews for almost all of these books. I will leave those linked down below if you're interested in more of my thoughts that are a little more in depth in this video. So yes, without further ado, let's just get back to it. So book number 1 is Blood of the Fold. I did not enjoy this book whatsoever. I was rereading the series because it holds a pretty nostalgic place in my heart. I read it back in high school and really enjoyed it. I made it, I think maybe 1 or 2 more books past this one. This is the 3rd in the series. Before I stopped reading it initially, I planned to reread those books and then continue on in the series. I actually owned all the books. I do not want to continue this series. I picked up on so much more now that I'm a much more critical reader than I was before. There is so much sexism, so much misogyny, there's homophobia, there's so much just like blatant him living vicariously through these characters, and just his views on women are just atrocious, and so I do not want to continue this series. I can't really say anything about supporting the author because I already owned the books, but I don't feel like pushing myself through these books anymore because there are like 900 pages mass market packs, 900 page mass market paperbacks, so I'm just not doing it anymore. Not worth it, not worth my time. So book number 2 was Dead Until Dark. I did not like this book. I didn't think I would really enjoy it that much, but I figured maybe a guilty pleasure read. A lot of people I've heard talk about this series do say it's like guilty pleasure reads for them, and I'm all about those. So I was like, let's try this, but this book was just shit. Like, it wasn't well written. The characters were not fleshed out. They were really like very flat, one-sided characters, especially the male love interest. Then the author would just spend 3 pages just rambling on about nonsensical things, like you learn the fact that this vampire dude like got his brown jeans from Macy's. I don't care. Like, I do not intend to continue this series. This book was just about a girl who, their vampires are real and they're known and they just kind of exist in this world, and so she's always wanted to meet a vampire. She does. Shenanigans ensue. It just wasn't that good. Definitely not good enough to want to continue the series. Maybe if I read it when I was a lot younger, but not about it. So book number 3 really should come as no surprise, and that is New Moon. This is by far worse than Twilight in my opinion, which is saying something. I have full spoiler reviews about both Twilight and New Moon because I am kind of rereading the series for the first time, probably considered hate reading because I'm reading it very critically, specifically to talk about everything I don't like about it. Maybe that makes me petty. Probably. I don't care. I did not enjoy this book. It was fun to read because it's just absolutely ridiculous and has by far one of the worst lines I've ever read written. I don't know how it got published. If you are curious about that line, you'll have to watch my review, which, like I said, will be linked down below. The book was just not good, but I am going to read the next one, so what does that say about me? So book number 4 is not nearly as bad as any of the other books I've talked about on this list because I didn't dislike it. I just was really disappointed in it, and that was The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I talked about it in my review of just why I was so disappointed in this book and why it just did not live up to my expectations. This is set in a world where like really crazy like things happen. You know those Chosen One stories? A random kid is chosen to be like the savior of the universe. Only him and his friends can save the universe. It is set in a world like this, except for this follows the other kids in town, the people who are just living with those people and have to deal with the repercussions of one of the chosen ones accidentally blowing up half the town, that kind of thing. The premise of this was so cool and so interesting, but it just was so boring. It did not live up to it. It had a fairly diverse cast of characters, I'll give it that, and Patrick Ness' writing is good. The story just lacked so much for me. So the last book I'm going to talk about is by far one of, if not the most, like, terrible book I have ever read. And that is saying something because I've read some shitty books. Now, I did not go into this book with high expectations because it was a free ebook on Kindle. Those don't have the best reputation for being good. But this book, first off, I got it because of the ridiculous premise and name and the cover. When I downloaded a whole bunch of free ebooks, and I tried to pick ones with the most normal covers, not like just straight up. I could tell the books obviously that were just straight up erotica. This one I knew it probably was, but I picked mostly like fantasy books and just ones with normal looking covers. But this book is called Accidental Abduction. It is about a girl who accidentally gets abducted by an alien who just happens to basically be a human. And he is collecting specimens from Earth, and he accidentally grabs a human. Oh my god. This book, I thought it was just, okay, this is a silly premise. It'll be fun. I don't know if I just don't know how to guilty read books. Like, there are books that I find to be guilty pleasures, which are still enjoyable. They're smutty, they're fun, they're silly, but it's still a good book. Like, it still has good messages behind it, but this book was just fucking terrible. Like, I am not intending to review this book on its own, like do a separate video for it. In fact, I'm probably gonna wait until I read one or two more books like this and talk about just the sheer amount of internalized misogyny and just misogyny from male characters and just fat shaming, slut shaming, girl hate, all of this stuff that are found in these books that are written by women. Because my fiance pointed out when I was talking to him about how ridiculous this book is, he's like, it's amazing that this book contains all of this and it's written by a woman. Because there's one thing if the main male character is a misogynistic douchebag. I mean, it's not good writing, it shouldn't be that way, but that's one thing. I enjoy it when there's those kind of really terrible characters, and then the main strong female character challenges him, calls him out on his bullshit, but that didn't happen in this book. In fact, this book, arguably she was worse than him when it came to like hate and misogyny. Like, there weren't any other female characters she interacted with, but she still managed to be like, I can keep up with those skinny bitches in bed. She managed to, like, there was so much random girl hate thrown in, which is I guess impressive because there are no other female characters, but just the fact that she's like, yeah, women are catty and selfish and stupid and gossips, and like, this fucking character, first off, he is 7 foot tall, purple, no nipples. Like, I don't know why the author had to put all these weird details in with sharp, pointy like shark teeth and blue eyes. Second, there's literally a line in this book where the main male character says that, like, the only time women should talk is during sex when they're screaming their man's name. What? There is so much, like, creepy possessiveness, and even though he's threatening to sell her as a sex slave for, like, 90% of this book, she's like, okay, like, what? There is so just, oh my god, the main girl gets upset because he doesn't have sex with her when she's unconscious because she got drunk and passed out, because that means she's not pretty. What? Like, I don't think this is a guilty pleasure read. To me, this is just, a guilty pleasure read is just like, you have strong female characters, maybe kind of misogynistic douchebags, and these girls just stomp them down and be like, no, girl power, and like, yes, there can be sex and smut. That's not what makes this book bad. The sex doesn't make this book bad. The just undertones and undercurrents of misogyny and just terrible, like, behaviors, and the fact that this book is not challenging any of that. It's promoting it. And you can be like, yeah, that's a free ebook, whatever, you should expect it. But the thing is, what bothers me a lot is the fact that these free ebooks can be downloaded by young kids, well, by teenagers. Maybe they shouldn't be, maybe their parents should pay more attention, but that's an argument for another day. But if a 16, 17-year-old downloads this book, reads it, and goes, okay, that's the way men should be talking to women, and that's the way women should, like, react, it should be okay, and you teach these and you normalize these behaviors, that's where I draw a line, and that is what's just abysmal. I'm going to talk about this more in another video. Like I said, I don't really want to review this book in its own video. I want to talk about these things and normalizing these behaviors and why they are prevalent in books in its own separate video. Although I was just absolutely fucking astonished when I got onto Goodreads and I looked at this book, and it has like 4,000 ratings. It's not a very rated book, it's not a very read book, but it had between a 3 and a 4-star rating, and it had about 1,000 reviews. I scrolled through 2 or 3 pages of them on mobile. Everyone rated this book between a 3 and a 5 stars. They'd be like, it's kind of goofy, smutty, but like literally no one called out the fact that this book was just teaching and normalizing really fucking terrible things. Like, maybe I'm just looking too much into it, but I'm sorry, I can't get any enjoyment out of a book that tells women that they should expect to be raped when they're unconscious because they're beautiful. That is only when they're beautiful will that happen. Just what? And the fact that it is written by a woman, I can't with this book. All of these things plus the shitty writing make it literally like the worst book I have ever read. I mentioned the fact that Blood of the Fold was misogynistic and stuff, but at least I could read it and get through it, and it wasn't so obvious that this woman who wrote this is just ingrained in her to hate other women and just to pit women against each other. I just don't get it. Also, like, it took literally until 70% of this ebook before any plot happened, and porn without plot, that's your thing, go right ahead. It's not my thing. I like there to be plot in my book, so I was just like, oh my god, when will this book end? But it was only like 120 pages, so I guess maybe it was more of a novella, but it's a series, and they want to charge me for the next book, so I think it's like 99 cents and then $1.99. I'm not paying for any more shit. I am not reading any more from this author. By far the worst book I've read this year. I don't think any other books will come close to this. I don't know. I got a lot more free ebooks. I've downloaded like 20 of them, so we will see. But oh my god, this book was terrible. I don't even recommend this book to read because it's like funny bad, the way I'm reading Twilight, and I would say, hey, you read it, it's bad. This book, I just don't want to support this author, and I don't want any of you guys to support her because, well, I mean, read what you want, but oh, it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. So this video got a lot longer than I expected because of that book. But yeah, those are the books that I have read this year that have disappointed / angered me the most. Obviously, with the way this reading year is going, I'm sure there's going to be more. At the end of the year, I will talk about the books that disappointed me the most, or I hated the most. Like I said, not everyone likes these kind of videos. I personally do. I like making them. If you read any of these books and you enjoyed them, more power to you. I'm not saying you're a bad person for reading them. People are gonna read what they want. That is not the point of these videos whatsoever. I'm just telling you guys the books that I disliked the most. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know down in the comments some books you read that you've hated this year. Whether they disappointed you the way that the rest of us just lived here disappointed me, or that you hated the way Accidental Abduction made me just rage. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!